We do indeed. We are live on Facebook and therefore YouTube and our website as of now. So big Shabbat Shalom and Purim Sameach in the rear view window there. I know a lot of us are just coming down off the high of Purim. It was a blast, laughs were shared, sugar highs were achieved, maybe even alcohol was consumed. But now we're going to have just a soulful, lovely, peaceful Shabbat. So we are with you. We will start with one of my old favorites, more of a Zemirot that we sing over the Shabbos table, Yaribon Olam, which can be found in our Siddur on page 85. So take it away, Cantor Aronoff. Mwah.
Yaribon Olam ve'yolemaya ve'yomaya Antu Malka Melech Malchaya Melech Malchaya Ovad Gevurtech Ve'timehaya Shvar Yaribon Olam ve'yolemaya ve'yomaya Antu Malka Melech Malchaya Melech Malchaya Shvachin asader Tzafra ve'ramsha Divira kol nafsha Irin kadishim Uvenei enasha Chevat bara V'yofe shemaya Ay, ay, ay Yaribon olam ve'yolemaya I'm going to do the last verse. Lemikdeshech tuv lekodesh kedushin kodesh kudshin atar divrei yechedun ruchine venafshin vizamrun lach shirin verachashin Yerushalem karta deshufraya ay 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 yaribon olam ve'yolemaya ve'yomaya antu malka melech malchaya melech malchaya.
Thank you for that choice of opening Shabbos tune. I love that so much. I was harmonizing with you. We will continue with Lechu Nuranana on page 11 and then 12 of our Siddur. Lev Shalem.
Lechu Nuranana l'Adonai Nari aletzor yishenu Nekadma Bitoda Bizmirot nari alo Mikadma fana bitoda Bizmirot nari alo Kiel gadol Adonai Umelech gadol al kol Elohim Asher beyado mechkerei v'toavot harim lo asher biyado mechkerei haaretz v'toavot harim lo אשר לא יביאו אשסהו ויבש את ידם יצרו בו נשתחווה ונכלם ונבחר לפני עושינו כי הוא אלוהינו ואנחנו עם בריתו וצאן ידו היום 40 שנה אקוט בדור ואומרם טועה לבבהם והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי באפי אם יבואון אל מנוחתי. Next page. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני ברוך הוא שמו, בצום יום ליום שבתו וספרו בגויים כולם. ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, יירם הים ומלואו, יעלוז שדי וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל עצי יער. לפני אדוני קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, וימים באמונתו.
We'll continue with Mizmor Shiru Ladonai on page 17.
Mizmor Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash Ki niflaot asa Hoshia lo Adula Hodia Adonai Yeshuato Le'enei Agoyim Gila Tzidkato Zachar Chasto Ve'emunato Leveit Yisrael Ra'u Kol Afsei Aretz Eit Yeshuat Eloheinu Hariu l'Adonai al haaretz pitzchu veranenu vezameru zamru l'Adonai v'chinor v'kol zimra ha'tzotrot v'kol shofar hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai yiram hayam Tevel ve'yoshveva Ne'arodim cha'uchav Yachad harim yeranenu Lifnei Adonai kiva Yishpot ha'aretz Yishpot tevel b'tzedek Ve'amim b'mei sharim Yanai, nai, 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 ai, la, lai. Yanai, nai, 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 nai. Yanai, la, lai, la, lai, lai, ai, la, lai. Yanai, nai, 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 ai, la, lai, la, lai, ai, la, lai. Yanai, la, 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 lai, lai. La, lai, la, lai, la, lai, lai, la, lai. Yanai, na, nai, 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 nai.
Let us continue now with Lecha Dodi. That is on page 23 to 25, and when we get to the ultimate paragraph, we will rise if we can and bow to greet not Queen Esther, but the Queen of Shabbat. So let's get ready to really welcome the spirit of Shabbat into our hearts, into our minds, release the weak, and embrace peace and shalom.
Lecha Dodi Likerat Kala Penei Shabbat Neka בדיבור אחד. השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, ומצאים מתוך ההפכה. רב לך שבט וימק הבכה, נהו יחמול עלי חמלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי. על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קרבה אל נפשי גאלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תקלמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי. בך יחסו עניי עמי, ונבנתה יראתי לה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. והיו למשיסה שוסייך, ורחקו כל נבלייך. יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כי משוש חתן, חתן על כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תעריצי. אל יריש בן פרצי, בני
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for that. You've got a lot of fans of that tune on Facebook. Just so you know, Gary Spivak started it, but Jack Skoll and Sol and Stuart Wagner also agreed that this was a really lovely Lachadodi. It's Naveh Tehillah. So that will not be the last time we use it to welcome Shabbat officially. And with that welcoming of the Shabbat, there's the acknowledgement that the Psalms we sang before that were merely a warm-up, just a build-up to get us into that headspace. And it can be a very jarring experience to be in those moments of joy when you are sitting Shiva. And our Jewish prayer experience is a vehicle for acknowledging people's pain and possible isolation from moments of happiness. And there's a tradition that some Jews choose to uphold, whereby people sitting Shiva don't really participate in the bit before Kabbalat Shabbat. We're going to kind of transition to Ma'ariv and the Psalm for Shabbat right now. And what we can do at this point, therefore, is welcome the mourners. We're always happy to do this at Adat Ari whenever there is a request. And as we know, Mel Aronoff is just towards the end of sitting Shiva for his beloved mother, Edie. So Mel is going to be welcomed in to our virtual synagogue at this point. And we're going to greet him with our classic mourners line. So I encourage you just to hold Mel in your heart, and you can say on page 26 with me, Hamakom yinachem ethem batoch sha'a avalei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the divine comfort you along with all other mourners of Tzion and Yerushalayim. Mel Aronoff, we welcome you to join us here, and in acknowledgement of where you're at in your cycle of mourning, where you're saying Shiva, we invite you to lead us in a Kaddish Yatom. And anyone else who is also in mourning or observing a yortzeit, you're welcome to join in with him and to stand if you can. So we're here for you, Mel, and thank you.
Yikadal, Yikadash, Shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divrach hirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'kol Beit Yisrael, v'agala u'v'zman kariv, v'imru Amen.
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam U'Le'omei Olmaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, Shmei d'kudashah brichu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata, Trush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran b'alma, v'imru Amen. Yehi shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimaru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimaru Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And Judy, if you could just give Mel a bit of a hug on my behalf and on the whole congregation's behalf. Mwah. We're here for you, Mel. We adore you and thank you for sharing this moment with us. And you can hang around and be the kahal for Cantor Aronoff as we continue with our Shabbat service now on page 27, our Psalm for Shabbat.
Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat Tov lehodot l'Adonai u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon Tov lehodot l'Adonai u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות.
We will shortly be at the bottom of page 28, Sadiq Katama.
Sadiq Ari frach keyeres balvanon betulim bevet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim vera'ananim yiyu lehagid ki ashar Adonai tzuri tzuri velo avlatabo.
Yesha Koach, Kanta Aronoff, for a beautiful Kabbalat Shabbat with people's tunes that they're very excited about on Facebook. It is candle blessing time. Our candles have already been lit, but I'm noticing that it is getting lighter later, and I believe we'll be putting forward the clocks in just a few weeks now. So soon this event will be more momentous as we will physically be lighting those candles. But for now, just please gaze upon the light that already exists, whether it's in your own home or on Kanta Aronoff's screen, and we invite everyone to say the blessing over the Shabbos candles.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav Betzivanu le'adlik ner, Betzivanu le'adlik ner, Betzivanu le'adlik ner, Shel Shabbat. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Another Shabbat Shalom to one and all. So before we enter our Ma'ariv stage in the evening, just going to share a few thoughts that are not really my own. I was completely inspired by Rabbi David Kasher, who taught me this a couple of years ago, pointing it out to me, that the rabbis of old have always struggled to make a Torah portion relevant to what's going on in the Jewish cycle. And it's sometimes quite hard, even jarring, to do that, particularly with something like Purim, because Megillat Esther is post-biblical in its occurrences. So, it's one thing to talk about the events of Pesach, reading them directly from the Torah, and it's January. But it's another thing now to even say, well, is there a trace of Purim wrapped up in the Torah portion that always falls around Purim? Parashat Tetzaveh, let's have a little look at it. Priests, robes, sacrifices, dung, bulls being sacrificed, entrails, Purim much? No, except for if you are Nachmanides, bless his cotton socks. Nachmanides fearlessly says, I take the challenge to make Purim relevant to this week's Torah portion. And he finds two parallels. He points out that the robes that the priests are garbed in have the color blue, and it's a very particular blue. And he notes that Mordechai, our hero of the Purim story, is also adorned with this blue color when he's wearing the royal robes, which therefore harks and makes a connection to Mordechai being the leader, the natural descendant of the priests, even though he is probably not a Cohen. And that's a good leap there. However, Nachmanides then leans further into this idea of looking at parallels, verbal and imagery parallels, and says something that I find far more compelling than that, which is to make the parallel from the priest to another character. For Nachmanides notes that in Shemot chapter 28, verses 3 and 4, we hear how the priest will have a golden bell and a pomegranate all the way around the hem of their robe. They will be on Aaron when he goes in to serve, and the sound of the bell will be heard when he comes into the holy place. That's that time he goes once a year on Yom Kippur to atone for the Jewish people. And it was said that the priest may die at that time if he was not found worthy. And that bell would be a sound that the other people would be able to help him and pull him back if he was in danger. It was a bell of permission, a bell of warning. And that is, again, we can talk about that imagery on Yom Kippur and just how scary it was to serve God on Yom Kippur if you were the high priest. But Nachmanides notices that in Esther chapter 4, we hear again an echo of the same scene, which is that Esther approaches the king when it's not necessarily her turn. Permission is not necessarily granted to her, and she is going to be subject to death at the order of the king if he doesn't extend his golden scepter, which could possibly be a little bit pomegranate shaped. And that also is the idea of life and death. And this is a really interesting parallel. She's also the one who, dresses up and adorns herself with garments and perfumes to ready herself for standing before the king in his holy chamber, and is basically going in the same vein as the high priest to essentially plead for the lives of all the Jewish people and herself. And they'll either get rejected or accepted. And it's going to go well for both, the high priest Aaron, but also Queen Esther. But this is a wonderful leap to basically say Esther is a priestess. She's not merely a queen in this moment, but she is a high priestess. And the people are counting on her to do their bidding. And that's just an incredible parallel, isn't it? There's often a connection between Yom Kippur and Yom HaKippurim as well. And it's the idea of it's almost a tragedy, but then it's a redemption at the last minute. And again, it gives gravitas to the situation of Purim, but it also just plays around with the themes of priesthood and of the need for a priest to adorn in special clothing as well. Because it's when you put your robes on, when you suit up, that's when you can show up and defend and ask for justice in the world, and also be there to support people. And again, that's exactly what Queen Esther does. And I think that's something we're really invited to all be empowered to do, because we no longer have one high priest. We're now a nation, a kingdom of priests, whereby we're all empowered to personally show up and petition the Holy One, as it were. And whether we're pleading for ourselves or on behalf of others, we get to do that and suit up in ways that we can. And then finally, I think the other analogy to hold on to is that of the bell. When we do that, when we go into scary, vulnerable places where we know that we might even be in danger, physically or emotionally, we ring the bell of warning for others to rescue us if need be. That we don't want to face this without backup, without others praying with Esther, or without other priests making sure they can pull back the high priest if it gets too scary. We all need that bell, that support system, and we can ring and say, help, help, we're going to need support. And that is exactly what our current community of priests and priestesses do. So Shabbat Shalom. And I'm just thankful really for Nachmanides for helping make a Purim connection with Parshat Tetzaveh. Who knew? With that, let's all be a priestly nation and priestessly nation and show up together and call upon God to bless and praise God with the Baruch Hu. So 39A, we face east if we can locate it, and I can be Count Aronoff's responder. You ring the bell and I will hearken.
Lie, 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 la, lie, 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 lie,
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Leolam Va'ed. Lai 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 ai lai 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 nai 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 lai 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 nai 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 lai lai la lai 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'dvaro ma'aru b'arabim Umavir yom umevi laila umavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai tzvaot shemo el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai hama'ari v'aravim
Amen. Ahavat Olam is on page 40. We're prepping up to say the Shema. Really invite that relationship of mutual love in before we declare our unity together.
V'avatcha tasir mimenu li'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol miodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך והיה אם שמוע תשמע Adonai Elohechem emet v'emunah kol shavakayim aleinu ki Adonai Eloheinu top of page 44. Umalchuto biratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe uMiriam u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam Yai lai 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 ananai yai lai 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 Hai lai 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 ya la lai 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 Mi chamocha boilim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar bakodesh Nora teilot osefele Malechutecha ra'u vanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe Zeili anu v'yameru Adonai yimloch li'olam va'ed Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai lai yai lai 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 Hai lai 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 yai lai 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 Hai lai 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 V'ne'emar kif Adonai et Yaakov u'ge'alo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Amen. We're continuing with Hashkivenu on page 45, and just Yeshikoah for sneaking in a Shalom Alechem in your Micha Mocha there.
Ushmor tzeitenu v'oenu l'chaim l'shalom me'ata v'ad olam ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael Ve'al Yerushalayim V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbos la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam merid olam V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbos la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam merid olam Beini u'bnei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam oti le'olam V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbos la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash ביום השביעי ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבם ועמד יברכותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו
אמן. יהי שמי רבא מבורך לעולם לא מהמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשא
בריחו
יהיה לה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו
Amen. This. It is time now for the Amidah. We are on page 47 and it goes to page 52 if you want to open the lid for him so he can have some water. It's nearly bath time, so that's why he's in a state of undress. He also was taking my words to heart seriously about how garments really make a person in their role, but his role is going to bed, so that's why it's okay to not have the clothes on for the task. Anyway, it is Amidah time, as I said, so take a few moments. You can pray this in the Hebrew or the English, or just, offer the prayers from your heart that you need to say at this time. And then afterwards we'll sit down and we'll wrap up with an Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom bimromav Uyaseh Shalom aleinu Ve'al kol Yisrael Ve'al kol Yisrael Amen. Ose shalom bimrama, Uyase shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Excuse me, the dogs need to leave the room. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru yiveru. Amen. Yamanai nai nai nai, yanai nai nai nai, yanai nai 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 nai, yanai nai 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 nai, yanai nai 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 nai, ai nai 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 nai, yanai nai 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 nai, yanai nai 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 nai. Ose shalom bimrama, uyase shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, imru, amen.
Amen.
So I thought we would do Vayachulu this week, which is on the top of page 53. ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם. ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם. ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה. וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו. כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות.
Glorious. Toda rabba for a nice Vayachulu there. We have our Kaddish and then Kiddush to page 54 and 55. And Jonah's very excited to say some amens. So,
Yikra v'yikra shemei rabba.
Amen.
Ve'yalma divrach yirutev yamlichmachu de b'chayachonu v'yemechonu v'chayachol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'isman kariv yimeru.
Amen. Yehishmei rabba mevorach li'olam lo me'amaya yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitrumam v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitalai v'yitalal shmei dekudesha.
Brichu.
Ve'ela mikol berchata v'shirata tushbchata v'nechamata damiran yama v'yimeru.
Amen.
Yitkabel tzloton uvalton d'chol Yisrael kodam avon v'yishmaya v'yimeru.
Amen.
Hey shlam rabba min shmaya v'chaim aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'yimeru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'kol yoshvei tevel v'yimeru.
Amen. Thank you for those
You're so
modulations.
got all the modulations. Good for you. Yidush. I've grabbed my blue bottle That's what's in there. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei v'ragafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta V'yotanu kidashta mikol amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. And thank you to Jack Soul for passing around the virtual Kiddush cups on Facebook. I see what you did there with your icons.
Very good.
Let's stay standing if we were standing for that, if we can, for Aleinu on the following page, page 50, 56 and 57.
לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום להשבותה אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד על כן נקווה לך אדוני אלוהינו מרבי דברי כי המלכות שלך היא ולעולם תמלוך בכבוד ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We come now to Mourner's Kaddish again. I'm on page 58, and we want to offer our condolences to the family and friends of Ruth Notkin. She was the mother of Adria Metzen. Also to the family and friends of Dalia Sharvit, who was the mother of Annette Sharvit, and also to the family and friends of Edith Aronoff, the mother of our own Mel Aronoff. And we also want to just acknowledge as well that Daniel Greenberg passed away. He was the husband of Susan Steinhauser. The funeral hasn't yet taken place, so they're not, the family aren't yet in their period of mourning, but obviously it's something that's weighing very heavily on their minds, so we're announcing the deaths at this time just so that people who know the family can reach out and be that support and comfort. And also just to all those who are observing a yahrzeit, who are in their Shiva period, their first year period, it's all, time goes very wibbly wobbly in these moments. So really we all deserve that comfort, that acknowledgement. But the list is so great that I've posted all of the yahrzeits on Facebook rather than reading all of them out loud. But I invite everyone who is saying the Kaddish Tom to arise if they can and stay together. And actually, Mel, would you like to lead this one as well?
Yikadal v'yikadash may Rabbah.
Amen.
Yalmad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei בחיי חורן וביומי חורן ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבא מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירם בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבא מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Amen. One more time, amen, and just virtual hugs to everyone there. And thank you for the individuals sharing more names on Facebook as well. That's what we are for each other. We are a support system, and good news or bad news, we are there for one another. So just a couple of announcements of other excuses to be there for one another and to show up virtually. It is the weekend of Rabbi Brian Schuldenfrei to come and meet us and for us to get to know one another better. He is our other rabbinic candidate. So we encourage as many of you who are able to make it to come to as many of the events that we are hosting him for. He is the Darshan tomorrow morning. And then following services, so at around 11:30 to 12, we will have a bit of a Q&A with him. He's also going to be leading Havdalah. And on Sunday afternoon, after Purim World, and I'll talk about that momentarily, he's going to be doing an adult education session. And then in the evening, there's a town hall. I think it's 7:30. You can check after Shabbat the exact times on the website. But there are many opportunities to interact with him. And again, if you are a JLC person or an ECC, those events have been set up as well. So we're really looking for everyone just to weigh in on both of our rabbinic candidates because they will be your senior rabbi. And we want to make sure that everyone has the chance to have that connection and to have their say. The committee has worked so hard on putting these individuals through the ropes and just choosing, to get two fine finalists. So we will give them the attention that they deserve and their respect. So I spoke about Sunday, and it is going to be more Purim time. In the days of yesteryear, we would have had a carnival. Instead, we have Purim World online, and there are so many fabulous things that will be happening. I'm actually, I think, just going to show it with a screen share because I always forget that people can read. So we just make it a little bit bigger. We have Purim coming up on Sunday the 28th at 10 a.m. There's a Beat Buds concert. They are fabulous indeed. So check that out. Very family friendly as well. At 11 a.m. Oh, there's lots of different options. There's story time with Michael, preschool to second grade. But really, if you just love stories, sign up for it. It's brilliant. When I say sign up, you can just click and get there immediately. There's no registration. You can do Purim Crafts, which is especially targeted to 3rd to 6th grade. But again, you could be 53 and into crafts. You can show up. No one's going to kick you out. And then there's also a session on Woman Tushin, the history of the Humantashen and how it may well have been appropriated. That is for adults, and I can't stress that enough. That is for adults. You're welcome to have a teenager with you if they are mature, and it is for adults. So there you go. 11:45, there's another workshop. We're having a plethora of ways to celebrate and learn and engage with Purim. There's more crafts. Again, it's preschool to second grade targeted with Miss Mimi, who is our incredible arts day school teacher. You can also make Humantashen with Leah Rosenzweig. There's also Jeopardy, especially for 7th to 12th graders at that time slot. 1 p.m. to 1:30. The Bible players are telling the Purim story, and there's another workshop in the afternoon. If you missed the Humantashen making because you were doing something else in the morning, you can do it in the afternoon. Again, same with Jeopardy, but this time 3rd to 6th graders are encouraged. More crafts, but now for the 7th graders. So again, if you've got a kid of 6th grade, they can do several different tracks. There's yoga, just if you want to let it all out and stretch away the pain of the Purim story. And then there's, again, final workshop with games, more yoga, more crafts, and a closing ceremony at 3 p.m. A lot of stuff going on there. A lot of hard work has been put into Purim. So there are, of course, many other events coming up because we're about to get into March. So, but we'll tell you about that next week because that's a lot to be getting along with. I have just one thing to say, I guess, which is thank you. Thank you to Cantor Aronoff, who not only read Megillah this morning and last night, but is also leading services for us. So thank you so much, Cantor A. You are an incredibly generous person to share your voice and time with us. Thank you again to Jack Sol for passing out the virtual Kiddush cups, and to Leah Elias for collecting those virtual Kiddush cups. So to one and all, whether you're viewing us from Facebook or YouTube, thank you for being here in some form or another. And we'll see you 9:30 a.m. for Shabbat morning Shacharit tomorrow.
Don't I have something to add?
Of course. Oh, I think we do want to pitch a certain bar full of pianos, right?
Correct. Well, or at least, well, he does have more than one piano in his studio. This is David Kaminer, who is going to be our pianist at our virtual piano bar a week from tomorrow night, Saturday night, March 6th. And he plays everything from Broadway to pop to Israeli tunes to all sorts of stuff. And he plays and sings, and we can make all sorts of requests. And you have till Monday to sign up for a free, the whole thing is free. He's free, but free cocktail. You want a free cocktail because, you're in a piano bar. So you can sign up by Monday for that and join us at the piano bar. It'll be great. Check out our website for that. Saturday night, the 6th at whatever time it is, 8 o'clock, I think.
Thank you, and I'm glad you announced that because that is something that's very, very much upcoming, and it's like the first time we've done this as well, so I'm really excited for it. I miss getting to sing with David Kaminer at the same time, so I'll be singing over him, but obviously in the comfort of my own house while unmuted. We'll wrap up our services with Yigdal, so back over to Cantor Aronoff on the page of her choice because I don't know where it is.
62.
62, you say?
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא בעיני תל מציאותו, אחד ואין יחיד כייחודו, נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו, אין לו דמות הגוף ואינו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו, קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון ואין ראשית לראשיתו, הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו, אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו, לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד, נביא ומביט את תמונתו, תורת אמת נתן לימו אל, על יד נביאו נאמן ביתו, לא יכל לפועל ולא ימיר דתו, לעולמים לזולתו, צופף יודע סתרנו, מביא לסוף דבר לחדמתו, גומר לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע רע כרשעתו, ישלח לקץ ימים משיחנו, לפדות נחכה קץ ישועתו, מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו, מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.